Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about Huey Lewis and the News, one of my favorite groups ever. Um, I just thought I'd do another one of these little brief history of kind of things to show some more of my records and talk about a band I really like. I'm going to be using Wikipedia because it's a great source of knowledge on a lot of things. Um, so, to give you a brief overview, Huey Lewis and the News is an American rock band based in San Francisco, California. They had a run of hit singles during the 80s and early 90s, eventually achieving 19 top 10 singles across the Billboard Hot 100 adult contemporary and mainstream rock charts. Their sound draws upon earlier pop, rhythm and blues, and doo-wop artists, and their own material has been labeled as blue-eyed soul, new wave, power pop, and roots rock. I kind of see them as just kind of a like real American bar rock band kind of thing, but they have all of them influences thrown in as well. The group's first two albums were received with Huey Lewis's personal charisma as a frontman, gaining notice from publications such as the Washington Post, but they struggled to find a wide audience. The most successful album, Sports, which is a great album, was released in 1983. The album, along with its music videos being featured on MTV, catapulted the group to worldwide fame. Their popularity significantly expanded when the song The Power of Love, which is one of my favorite all time songs, was featured in the 1985 film Back to the Future. Power of Love reached number one on the Billboard 100 Singles chart and was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Original Song at the 58th Academy Awards. The group's 1986 album, Four, another brilliant album, produced two further number one singles, which Stuck With You, another of my favorite songs, and Jacob's Ladder. The band's other top 10 hits, all from the 80s, include Do You Believe in Love, Heart and Soul, I Want a New Drug, The Heart of Rock and Roll, If This Is It, Hip to Be Square, I Know What I Like, Doing It All for My Baby, and Perfect World. That's a quick overview of the band. So, this is important information. The group is currently inactive as a performing and recording unit, having halted all touring and recording in 2018 after it was revealed that, very sadly, Huey Lewis had Meniere's disease, which is an inner ear disorder, which means that I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it basically means that he's not able to sing anymore because he can't. I think it's because he can't hear the pitch right anymore, which is a real shame because he's one of the greatest singers. Man, he's awesome. In 2020, they released Weather, which contains songs the band recorded prior to Lewis's hearing loss. The band maintains a website. Yeah. So yeah, the last album was a seven-track album called Weather. Was released in, I thought it was released in 2022, but it says here released in 2020, so fair enough. I'm just going to go through this briefly. I'm not going to use this entirely, but it's a good kind of backdrop to what the band's about and helps me kind of stay on course. In 1972, singer-harmonica player Huey Lewis and keyboardist Sean Hopper joined the Bay Area jazz funk band Clover. Clover had recorded several albums in the 1970s and, in the middle of the decade, transplanted themselves to Britain to become part of the UK pub rock scene. That is something I did not know. I've read this through once before and I did not know that. So they actually came over here. Without Lewis, they eventually became the backing band for Elvis Costello's first album, My Aim Is True. Not heard that, I'll admit. Lewis also worked with the Irish band Thin Lizzy. He was good friends with Phil Lynott, contributing harmonica to the song Baby Drive Me Crazy, recorded on stage for the Live and Dangerous album. So let's show the first of these records. It's not a Huey Lewis record. Oops, and it's upside down. It's Thin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous, which is a brilliant, one of the better live albums that you'll hear from back in the day on vinyl. Opens up like a gatefold like that. This is nice. A couple of little tears on it, unfortunately. But yeah, Huey Lewis is on that album playing harmonica. And there are songs of Phil Lynott that he covers on some of the albums. Thin Lizzy bassist and vocalist Phil Lynott introduces Lewis by I'm not by the way I'm not sure if it's Lynott or Lynott, so if I use those interchangeably, forgive me. Introduces Lewis by name during the song. The band returned to the Bay Area by the end of the 1970s. Clover's main competition in the Bay Area jazz funk scene was a band called Soundhole. These members included, blah, 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 I'm going to skip that. Oh, no, actually, that kind of is important. Drummer Bill Gibson, saxophonist, rhythm guitarist Johnny Cola, and bassist Mario Cipollina, brother of John Cipollina. Like Clover, Soundhole, because that's going to be some of the members that joined the News or formed the News. Soundhole spent time. Like Clover, Sandho had spent time back in singer Van Morrison. After getting a singles contract from Phonogram in 1978, Huey Lewis joined Hopper, Gibson, Cola, and Cipollina to form a new group, Huey, and they were originally called, another thing I didn't know, Huey Lewis and the American Express. So that's what they originally called themselves. Although they played gigs under this name, in 1979 they recorded and released a single simply as American Express. The single, Exo Disco, a disco version of the theme from the film Exodus, was largely ignored. It sounds random as, I've not heard it, to be honest. The B-side of this record, Kickback, was a song that had previously been performed by Lewis and his other former band, Clover. In 1979, the band was joined by lead guitarist Chris Hayes, who is an awesome lead guitarist, and some of the solos on Huey and the News' work, some of my favorite guitar stuff ever, and moved to Chrysalis Records, which occurred after the demo tape was heard by Pablo Cruz manager Bob Brown, who helped him land a record deal with the label Chrysalis. Oh, sorry, label, little full stops there. Chrysalis did not like the name American Express, fearing trademark infringement charges from the credit card company, naturally, so the band changed their name. Later in 1980, the band released their first studio album, a self-titled LP, Huey Lewis and the News, which is this one, Huey Lewis and the News, which is a wicked album, actually. I really like this one. So their first official release, it says here, it did go largely unnoticed at the time. In 1982, the band, but let's skip down to that, hang on, because we do want to go through these albums. So let's talk about an album. We're going to look at it now. Let's click on it. So yeah, track listing. Some of My Lies Are True. Sooner or Later, wicked opening. Don't Make Me Do It, cool little track. Stop Trying is kind of a nice one. Now Here's You. It's the thing I say about their first album, it's not as edgy as some of their stuff, whether you consider, Huey Lewis and the News in general to be edgy is up to you, but I think this first album is kind of sort of soft stuff, but it's nice stuff. It's a good first effort from them. Yeah, I Want You. It's all kind of happy, upbeat, sort of kind of stuff. Don't Ever Tell Me That You Love Me. Hearts is a cool tune. Trouble in Paradise, I think, may have been the single off of it if there was one, but Trouble in Paradise was a cool tune. Yeah, Who Cares? And If You Really Love Me, You'll Let Me. So that's their first album. Now let's go back to where we were. It's not massive long, this one on here, which is why I'm kind of using it. Because yeah, you can get lost in some of these band theses on Wikipedia. So in 1982, the band released their second studio album, the self-produced Picture This, which is this one. Yeah, this is a really cool album. I just remembered, actually, I have something right here, actually. I didn't actually put this here on purpose, but it is here. Check this out. So I got given this as a present for being best man at my brother's wedding. How is that? Look at that. How cool is that? It's a gold record because this record went gold. That's the awesome little thing. That I need to find a proper place on my wall for that because it's awesome. The album turned gold, fueled by the breakout success of the hit single "Do You Believe in Love," which is a really nice song, written by former Clover producer Mutt Lange, who's kind of known in the industry. Largely because of the single, the album remained on the Billboard 200 album chart for 35 weeks and peaked at number 13. Follow-up singles from Picture This, Hope You Love Me Like You Say You Do, and Working for a Living. Working for a Living, just a random aside, Working for a Living always reminds me of when I was a kid. I had a video of Super Mario Brothers Super Show, and there's an episode where there's sort of like a montage of things going on, and Working for a Living's playing in the background. It always takes me back to that when I hear it. Just a little aside there. But yeah, in terms of that album, let's click on that album and look at the track listing on here. Hang on a minute now. Let's go down here. So yeah, Change of Heart's a nice track to open it. Tell Me a Little Lie is one of my favorite tracks, and the lead on that, the solos that Chris Hayes plays, are absolutely impeccable. Tattoo, I believe, yeah, it says Phil Lynott, was a Phil Lynott song that he covered because he played harmonica on the Phil Lynott version on one of his solo albums, and then he's also done it on his own album. Hope You Love Me Like You Say You Do feels a little bit sort of like kind of almost like cabaret act kind of song. I'm not. It's all right song, but it's not one of my favorites of the album. Working for a Living is quite a cool little sort of rocky song. Do You Believe in Love was the big single, which was a really cool song. It's just got 80s written all over it. Is It Me is quite a nice song. Whatever Happened to True Love, sort of like kind of like a heartbreak kind of song. The Only One, I think, was about this sort of kind of tough guy who was around that everyone sort of respected, who like passed away. And then Buzz 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 is just straight up old school like rock and roll, like Buddy Holly style. So yeah, that is that album. Then if we go back to the description, wherever the hell we got to, where we got to? Oh, here, mainstream success. Due to record label delays on the release of their third album, Sports, Huey Lewis and the News returned in late 1983 to touring small clubs in a bus to promote the record, eventually known as the Working for a Living Tour. The new album initially hit #6 in the US when first released. However, Sports slowly became a #1 hit in 1984 and went multi-platinum in 85, the year I was born, thanks to the band's frequent touring and a series of videos that received heavy MTV airplay. 4 singles from the album reached the top 10 of the Billboard 100, Heart and Soul. Again, wouldn't be one of my favorite picks from that album, but it's an alright track. Reached #8. Well, I Want a New Drug, which later on it says in the Wikipedia entry here about how there was a lawsuit between him and Ray Parker Jr., who used the riff from Want a New Drug for Ghostbusters. And if you listen to the two back to back, they are very similar. I believe he won the case, but I'm not 100% sure on that. We'll have a look in a little bit. The Heart of Rock and Roll, which opens it, is cool. And If This Is It is one of my favorite tracks. Just such a chill, cool, like kind of mellow rock track. The album sold over 10 million copies in the US alone. And here, just to show you, is Sports. This is the wicked album. So let's say like a bar rock band, like even the picture on the cover is just like a bar or like a pool table and stuff. You can picture them being the kind of band, that play in the bar while you're drinking and chatting and stuff. But yeah, that is a cool album, and let's have a look at that album now. So if we go back down here, Sports from 1983. It wants to load. Let's have a look at the track list. There's lots more info that goes into this album. I just kind of want to look at the track list. The Heart of Rock and Roll, which it opens with sort of like the heartbeat and like the sort of thumping kind of like drums and stuff come in. It's really cool. Heart and Soul was more of a kind of sort of laid back number. Bad is Bad. It's kind of cool. I Want a New Drug. Walking on a Thin Line. Finally Found a Home. If This Is It is a wicked tune. And then You Crack Me Out. There's a lot of sort of kind of what you'd call moderate rock, sort of, I guess, on this one, like kind of thing. But there is some really cool jams on this. And then Honky Tonk Blues to end it. What's this about, the bonus track? Oh, this is just like different takes, I think. Right. So yeah, so that's a cool album that I like. Let's go back to description. At the beginning of '85, the band participated in the All-Star USA for Africa charity single We Are the World, with Lewis taking a solo vocal. The song topped the music charts throughout the world and became the fastest-selling American pop single in history, which is quite an accolade. They were to play the Philadelphia leg of the Live Aid benefit concert that July, but pulled out 2 weeks before the concert over concerns that the money raised by the single and other efforts had not been spent to benefit Ethiopian famine victims, earning them vociferous criticism from USA for Africa organizer Harry Belafonte. Did not know that. A year later, a Spin article suggested that much of the money raised from the single and concert had been misspent, so maybe they were right in their concerns because of war. Anyway, moving on. Their song, The Power of Love, one of my favorites. When people ask me what my favorite song is, it's hard to say because I'm into so much stuff, but I normally go with The Power of Love just because I love that song, that riff. His delivery and the way he sings in that is just like faultless. Was a #1 US hit and featured in the 1985 film Back to the Future, for which they also recorded the song Back in Time, which is kind of a cool jam as well. Lewis has a cameo appearance in the film as a faculty member who rejects Marty McFly's band audition for the school's Battle of the Bands contest. An inside joke, the piece the band plays is an instrumental hard rock version of Power of Love, of course. Lewis's response, "Hold it, fellas, I'm afraid you're just too darn loud." It's just kind of corny, but it was the 80s. The Power of Love was nominated for an Academy Award. Following the success of The Power of Love and Back to the Future, Huey Lewis and the News released their fourth studio album, Four, which is this one. And this is some really cool. I mean, this is kind of Sports and this are the most well-known albums that they did, I think, I would say. Let's have a look at this one. Where are we at? Yeah. So in 1986, Four followed the success of Sports and reached #1 on the Billboard 200. The album spawned the #1 single "Stuck with You," which is a song that is one of my favorite songs as well. That is up there with "The Power of Love" for me, for battle of my favorite song. "Stuck with You" is a wicked tune. And Jacob's Ladder, which is a nice intro to the album as well as the mainstream rock hit "Hip to Be Square." Again, another banger. I love "Hip to Be Square." And another aside, "Hip to Be Square" always reminds me of Leslie Nielsen in Naked Gun 33 and a Third when he's in the supermarket and he's like trying to battle with the trolley and like all the crazy stuff he's doing in there while "Hip to Be Square" plays. That was a wicked scene. In all, the album had 5 top 10 singles on the Billboard Hot 100 and was certified triple platinum, man. I don't know if it's around about this time, but I also have a live DVD of theirs, which is Huey Lewis and the News, live at Rock Palace, which is a cool gig. So it says 2000. Oh no, hang on. Originally broadcast 1984, so this was a little bit before 4. So they only got up to Sports at this point. But that was a cool gig. Just trying to show you all that I have of the stuff. Then the band continued to tour throughout 1987 and released Small World in 1988. Now, I really dig this album. I think this is quite an underrated album. It's not one that I hear people talk about. Over here in the UK, I don't really hear songs from it played on the radio like I do from, say, Four. But I thought this was a wicked album. I mean, when I first heard this, I played like this to death, to be honest. I loved this album. Let's go into it. Let me click on it. Small World. Oh, did I not click on 4? Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Let me go back to 4 and just tell you the track list. So Jacob's Ladder was intro, Stuck with You, obviously great song. Whole Lot of Lovin', Doing It All for My Baby is a cool song. Hip to Be Square, I Know What I Like, Never Walk Alone, Forest for the Trees, Naturally, Simple as That. All good tunes, to be fair. And then they later added an international version, which I've got on that vinyl, The Power of Love. That is a good question, actually. Have I got that on my vinyl? Yes, I do. I thought I did. Pretty sure I did. Yeah. So, but yeah, all good jams. Right. Sorry, missed one. So back to Small World. Yeah. Opens with Small World Part 1, which is a wicked tune, just cool guitar stuff, cool laid back vocal, nice hook. Old Antones is like almost like a kind of, I don't know what you call it. It's like hanging out at the bar, kind of almost like jamboree kind of vibe on that one. I like it. Perfect World, I think, was the single from it. Personally, I think they should have chosen Small World. I think they'd have done better with Small World Part 1 than they did with Perfect World. I think maybe that's why I didn't do as well as they could because of the single selections. Bobo Tempo's different, but cool. Small World Part 2, just it's like a reprise, comes back in, it's all like sort of solo and sax and just cool stuff. Walking with the Kids, cool jam. World to me is a really nice song, actually. Like the lyrics, you mean the world to me on it, and just like it just lists all the things in the world that like aren't enough because that person's like means more than them. It's a really nice lyric. Better Be True is a cool song. Give Me the Keys and I'll Drive You Crazy. So it's lit that one up. If that's one of the singles, that's probably again not. It's an all right song, but it's not one of the ones I probably would have chose. And Slamming is just like an instrumental at the end, which is cool. It's just got kind of cool, like funky, rocky vibe on this one, but at the same time very chill as well. It's like they sort of have a mellow cool about them, even though they're rocking. It's just something about this band I like. I like the vibe. So yeah, so that's that one. So that's the end of the 80s. And then they released an album, which I didn't get into till later, actually. I was into all these first ones first, but then later on, I got into Harder Play and I really got into it and listened to it a lot. This one, I don't know if I talk about it, actually. I'm just going to do track list first. So Build Me Up is a nice opener. It hit me like a hammer as a wicked track. Like that one. Attitude. I mean, this album just oozes attitude, to be honest. Like, and Huey Lewis as well when he sings, and just this vibe, he just oozes like confidence and charisma. He's really cool. He Don't Know, nice track. Couple Days Off, one we can all relate to is like All I Want Is a Couple Days Off. That's Not Me. That's a cool song as well. This whole album is cool, man. We should be making love. Best of me. Do you love me or what? That one's got a lot of attitude to it as well. Don't look back in time ain't money. But that whole album's cool. I like that album a lot. Oh, I should show you it too. Here it is. There you go. I've got this one on CD as well. I used to have all them first albums on CD as well, but some time ago my car got broken into and they all got nicked. So unfortunately, I don't have them anymore. I will replace them at some point, but I play the vinyls now more than I play the CDs, to be fair. Well, I've still got hard to play in the car. So anyway, let's go back to what they're describing, wherever we got to. Okay, so the band continues to tour throughout '87 and released Small World in '88. After previous two multi-platinum albums, Small World was considered, they put noticeably weaker, but I don't think it was. I think maybe they picked the wrong singles to release. Peaking at number 11, only going platinum. Only going platinum. Oh, that's a bad thing. The album had one top 10 single, Perfect World, which reached number 3 on the pop chart. At the end of Small World Tour in '89, the band took a break from recording and heavy touring and parted ways with Chrysalis Records. In '91, they released Hard at Play, which we just talked about, on EMI in the US and Chrysalis in the UK, which went back to their R&B rock sound of their earlier albums, probably why I like it, to be fair, and released the hit singles Couple Days Off and Hit Me Like a Hammer. So Hit Me Like a Hammer was a tune. I think that album should have done better. The band once again changed labels, this time signing with Elektra Records, releasing a cover album in 1994 called Four Chords and Several Years Ago, which is this one. I haven't got the vinyl on that one, just got it on CD. Featuring doo-wop and rock songs from the 50s and 60s, so it's quite different in feel, that one. It's kind of like old rock and roll, really. The album charted on the Billboard 200 and had hits on adult contemporary radio. In early '96, the band released the greatest hits album Time Flies, which, to be honest with you, I don't have, which focused primarily on the releases from Picture This, Sports and 4, and included 4 new tracks. Did it? What were they? 100 years from now. So little kindness till the day after when the time's come. Might give that a listen then, because there's a few jokes on there I don't think I've heard. Okay, let's go back. The band's so now we're into the 21st century. The band's lineup has changed moderately since its heyday. Bassist Mario Cipollina left the band in '95 and was replaced by John Pierce. The Tower of Power, which often served as the band's touring horn section in the '80s, ceased their work with the band in '94. Horn players Marvin McFadden, Ron Starlings, and Rob Sudoff joined the group in their place as the sports section. So, fair enough. In 2001, Chris Hayes retired to spend some more time with his family after performing on the album Plan B, which I have, and that is the last one I actually have of theirs. But that's a cool album. I played it again in the car the other day to remind myself of it, but that's a decent album. Guitarist, considering they've been away for so long, actually, I thought it was pretty decent. Chris Hayes retired, oh no, we've done that. Guitarist of Burns, Bill Hines became Hayes' successors, while James Harrar has filled in for Burns occasionally. On April 13, 2009, touring saxophonist Ron Starlins died from multiple myeloma. That's sad to hear, didn't know that. In 2001, the News released their first album in 7 years. Oh, now it's talking about it, Plan B. It only briefly made the charts with lead single Let Her Go and Start Over. Again, not the song I would have chosen. Not this up to me, but I think sometimes an album can really live or die on the singles that are released from it. It's important. Becoming a minor adult contemporary hit. So let's click on it quickly, seeing as we're there. Yeah. So it opens with kind of a good old party track. We're not here for a long time, we're here for a good time. My Other Woman's quite a cool song. I Am Perfect. It's kind of more chilled out, this album. When I Write the Book, I'm Not in Love Yet. Even from the lyrical themes, you can kind of sort of feel, like Huey's getting a bit older, but he's still got that sort of pizzazz about him, but it's more laid back. The lyrics are sort of changing a bit. Like Plan B, So Little Kindness. Yeah, it's not a bad album at all, really. It's got some good stuff on there. Where are we getting to here? In December 2004, Huey Lewis and the News recorded their first live album, Live at 25. I think I may have had this at one point, because I know I've heard it, but I don't have it anymore. I don't know what happened to that. But again, I'm sure it's very good. I need to re-listen to it, really. Commemorate the band's 25th anniversary. In 2008, they recorded the theme song to the action comedy film Pineapple Express, which is actually a wicked tune, that Pineapple Express they did. That was actually really good. The song is played over the end credits of the film and appears on the film's soundtrack. The band returned to the studio in 2010, recording their first album in nearly a decade. The album entitled Soulsville. Now, I don't have this album, and I had to revisit this one, which was not easy to do because if you try and find this online, good luck, because I couldn't find it to stream anywhere. I listened to what I could of it on YouTube in the end, but what I heard sounded good. But really, this is like a soul covers album, really. Yeah, the album's a tribute to artists and music of Stax Records, which is like old soul songs and records. The brainchild of the band's manager, Bob Brown. As lead singer Huey Lewis explained, the public isn't clamoring for new Huey Lewis in the news material. Brown and the band decided it would be cooler to go into the Stax catalogue a little deeper and find songs that people hadn't heard and capture them faithfully, which they do, to be fair. From what I've heard of it, is a nice album, to be fair. This album features new guitarist Steph Burns and Bill Hines and baritone saxophonist Johnny Lamont, replacing Chris Hayes and the late Ron Silence. Yeah, I mean, with you do notice that Chris Hayes is not there, to be fair, the old solos he used to do and stuff, but it's not that kind of music, that album. So, yeah, so it's a tribute album recorded at legendary Ardent Studios. They would continue to tour regularly, playing around 70 dates a year until 2018 when the band halted all touring after it was revealed that sadly Lewis had Meniere's disease and an eating disorder. In January 2019, Huey Lewis and News signed with BMG Rights Management. On February 14th, 2020, as Farrar became the band's new rhythm guitarist, they released Weather, their first studio album of new songs since Plan B. So that's quite a long time, from 2001 to 2020, which contains songs that the band recorded prior to Lewis's hearing loss. And they're good tunes. I actually hadn't visited this one until recently, but I gave it a listen and I liked it. It's only 7 tracks, but the production on it's awesome. And Chris Hayes is back, which is cool. And yeah, there's a couple of videos actually. If you go on YouTube, Her Love Is Killing Me, it's filled with cameos. It's just like what they filmed on their phones and stuff, but it's like different people singing songs and doing mad things. It has a kind of TikTok vibe about it, actually, the way that they did it. And then I Am There For You, which is another video that's on there, which features all of the like medical people out there, like hospital staff and stuff, like holding up like bangers of the lyrics and doing the songs because they were sort of saying a thank you for all of the like COVID times and all that. And it's sort of because obviously being released in 2020, kind of related to all that. So, but the songs on it are nice, to be fair. I quite enjoyed it. And that's about as far as it goes. As far as they went, they'll have gone so far, because obviously I don't know the ins and outs of the Meniere's disease, whether he's going to be able to resume singing. I did, interestingly, while I was checking out anything I'd missed of theirs, saw on Spotify that there was a cover of Let's Dance, David Bowie's song that Huey Lewis sings, and that was released in January this year, 2024. So I don't know if he's done that since having the inner ear disorder or what, because he sounds like probably as old as he would be now on it. But it was actually a good take. It was good. So yeah, that's worth a look. I can't remember the group he did it with now, but it sounded good. It was another sort of band that jams around like the area they do, I think. But yeah. And then lastly, on November 1st, 2023, a new musical comedy inspired by the hits Huey Lewis and News was announced. The Heart of Rock and Roll is a romantic comedy that centers on 30-somethings, so you've got a little bit of rom-com style. Music is said to be jam-packed with Huey Lewis hits. And there you go. There's a little bit about the Ghostbusters lawsuit here. I might just... Oh yeah, and to be honest, there's been other videos on this kind of thing, to be fair, on the lawsuit. Just want to see quick. Yes, this lawsuit talks about the similarities between Ghostbusters and I Want a New Drug. According to Huey Lewis and News, this was especially damaging to them since Ghostbusters was so popular, it rose to #1 on the charts for 3 weeks. The dispute was ultimately settled out of court. Lewis has stated, sorry, it was settled. Lewis has stated that his experience with the producers of Ghostbusters was indirectly responsible for him getting involved in the movie Back to the Future. So everything happens for a reason, I guess. Parker later filed a suit against Lewis, claiming violation of the agreement to not discuss the settlement publicly. Lewis broke the silence by discussing Parker in an episode of VH1's Behind the Music. Didn't know that. Which prompted Parker to slap him with a lawsuit. The offensive part was not so much that Ray Parker Jr. had ripped this song off, says Lewis. He was on to blame the arrogance of the music industry execs who thought they could simply pay him off for stealing his melody. In the end, I suppose they were right. I suppose it was for sale because basically they bought it. Fair enough. But yeah, Let's get that. And then the other thing that they're famous for is obviously being on the the American Psycho soundtrack, which is an absolutely mad scene. Um, I might read this quick actually. So the band's mentioned numerous times in Bret Easton Ellis's novel American Psycho and the subsequent film. A chapter in the novel is entitled Huey Lewis in the News, so named after it, and consists of an extended essay about the band's recorded output and career. During the scene in the film where the main protagonist, Patrick Bateman, played brilliantly by Christian Bale, who's great in pretty much anything he's in, kills his colleague Paul Allen with an axe. Bateman plays the song Hip to Be Square and waxes lyrical about the band shortly before he attacks them. Um, I won't try and do the quote because I'll muck it up, but that scene's brilliant, and you can see it on YouTube. Actually, to be fair, it's really funny. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. That was a brief history, as I'm calling these, of Huey Lewis and the News, one of my absolute fave bands. And I hope that Huey Lewis gets well. I don't know what the outcome of that disorder is, if it can be reversed or if that's it. But if he ever does release new stuff, I'm there for it. You know, I'm ready to hear it. But I hope this has been interesting to all of you. Drop me a comment if there's a band or artist particularly you might like to see one of these about, and I can delve into their back catalogue and do a little history on them. Yeah, hope you've enjoyed watching it, and stay tuned for more of these, hopefully. Thanks very much. Cheers, guys.